Hi, Pankaj. Wishing you a very, very happy new year and so very grateful that you are here chatting with me today. Welcome.
Same here. Wish you a very happy new year. To everybody who's going to listen in, and to the rest of all the people who work in SAP world, a very happy and prosperous new year. And hopefully, we get to see a lot of S4 news into the market.
Oh my God. Amen to that wish. We definitely all are, I think, waiting on tender hooks to say when do we get the S4 news up and going. I think it's going to happen and I think it's going to be amazing. So
Yep.
amazing, fantastic. And welcome to the podcast. Let's talk transformations. As you are aware, I bring in a guest every week. Like yourself, to talk about their perspectives on transformations, specifically around the ERP world, other transformations like finance. And it's absolutely amazing to hear the insights that people like you provide. So appreciate your time.
No, absolutely. Pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. Okay, so Pankaj, why don't you please start off with introducing yourself and let's let everyone hear who you are and what you do.
Ooh, well, I didn't knew it's going to be a tough start, 2025.
It's Listen, what did you expect with me? It has to be.
I'm going to give it a short, brief, a minute or so. So this is my 19th year in the industry. I didn't realize I'm going to survive even 10 years. Okay, so this is going to be
Wow.
now
Wow.
almost 2 decades. I obviously, came from an engineering, computer science background. Did my engineering out of India. Did my MBA from Cornell. I was a hardcore programmer. Okay, C, C++,
Hmm.
Java, Oracle. I did my internship
Okay,
in
wow.
Oracle and things like that.
Hmm.
And guess what? I was right out of the college when I joined. I got trained in SAP and I cried because it was just bunch of configuration and writing ABAP, which is English.
Correct.
But then I think good things happen, right? And I was lucky enough to go and visit almost 50 countries thanks to the global rollouts of SAP, whether it
Exactly.
was ECC, MDM, finance, and things like that, right? So I
Correct.
spent a considerable amount of my time as a consultant. I was leading business units. I was actually part of Center of Excellence at Infosys for S4. So did a
Okay.
lot of S4 implementation, whether it was the first ever BW on HANA, B4 HANA,
Mm.
or even Central Finance. um, you name it, right? First ever, and I've burned my hands. When I say burn my hands, the good way where you open the classical OSS message, this product
Correct.
isn't working, this isn't working, and you work with Waldorf. So did
Right.
a lot of that before Microsoft came and said, "Hey, look, we wanted to come and lead something and build something very experiential for people on cloud." And AI. And here I am at Microsoft as a product leader, building things around Azure AI,
Okay.
as well as a lot of things around finance as well. So this is what I do, based out of San Francisco Bay Area.
Very nice.
Apart from that, I do advise startups. I do advise some of the CXOs on how they need to harness the power of technology, AI,
Mm.
ERP, and rest of the things. Just because consulting gets you get connected with a lot of people, right? So I was
100%.
lucky enough to do that. And apart from that, spend time with my child. He keeps me busy. I'm an outdoor person, so every weekend we are out playing in the sun and getting our vitamin D. So yeah, that's about it. That's my life.
Fantastic. Definitely a myriad of emotions as you started your career with SAP and now that you are with Microsoft. Definitely an amazing journey. So thank you for sharing that, Pankaj. Much appreciated. All right, so let's kind of delve into the questions that I have. So one of the questions I ask all my guests, and I'm sure you've seen my earlier podcasts as well, where I am very curious to understand their perspective, on transformation. You've spent 2 decades, in the industry. You are now with a leading software company, right, or a product company, Microsoft. I'm very, very curious to hear what is your perspective on transformation, Pankaj, and you can look at it, in multiple ways. Right? You can look at it from technology, you can look at it from business, ERP, whichever way. But I definitely want to hear what your thought process is on transformation.
Okay, it's a very valid question, and what's great about it that the word transformation still resonates with all of us, even in at least me spending almost 2 decades in the industry, right?
Correct.
Uh,
It's not going anywhere.
it's not going to go anywhere, and it will only get more meaningful as we step into 2025, 26, 27, 28, right?
Correct.
And in terms of context, right, I would want to give you a very generic definition which is applicable to both the business and the technology world, okay?
Sure.
Because both both have to coexist in eras where we live in today. And So typically, when we talk about transformation, it's a fundamental shift, okay,
Mm.
on how an enterprise needs to operate, okay, how they
Mm.
need to deliver value, interact with their customers, employees, and stakeholders, right? It's a paradigm shift per se, right?
Sure.
It's not about small changes. Let's go and implement a finance. Let's go and implement a supply chain or in-house cash, right? No, it's not about I'm going to implement AI or AI pool. No, it's not about that. It's fundamentally rethinking,
Mm.
redesigning,
Mm.
re-strategizing, and changing your mindset, okay, so that you can adapt to the changing times which we are living and we are going to live in the future, right?
Correct.
uh, I often tell people, specifically since it's an ERP context, that it's a one time in decade opportunity. Now, it's
Mm.
up to you. Do you want to drive a Toyota Camry or you want to drive a Ferrari? But yet,
Correct.
don't drive a Ferrari on donuts. A lot of people,
Absolutely.
to that point, right, implement S4 HANA, but they just go and just implement S4 HANA without thinking about the four things I spoke about: processes, strategies, mindset, rest of all of them thing, right? Because at the end of the day, it's all about creating value for the larger ecosystem. And if as an
100%.
organization or enterprise we don't do it, then there is no point, right? Now, when you look at the world which we live in, for example, all digital, right? Everything which
Mm.
we speak is
Mm.
digital. As we're speaking, right? I mean, look, we're
Right.
speaking far miles away, but still having a conversation, right? So,
Absolutely. Yep. You are in San Francisco and I'm here in New York. So yes,
oh
absolutely.
wow, both are my best cities, okay, in the
I
sense.
know.
So, so when we talk about digital, right, it is very prominent, right, in today's context, right? It's about leveraging all those tech steps to do what I spoke about, whether it's operation, customer service, product development, or even decision making today, right? Who
Mm.
would have thought that you could walk in and say, "This is my Dale's outstanding," right, as a CFO.
Correct.
20 years back and now, correct? There's so much things which have changed. So when we talk about digital transformation, it's about how am I adapting and adopting to the new tech side of the world. It's not about, hey, look, there's a new kid on the block which is called as AI, let's do something about AI. No, 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 no,
Mm.
no, that's not digital transformation. Digital
Understood.
transformation is how can I leverage the technology as a catalyst to drive
Mm.
something meaningful for my enterprise and for my business.
And for my business. Yeah, absolutely. And in your mind, very, very well said, Pankaj. Thank you. And in your mind, do you think transformation is just done once and you're okay with it? Or to your point, as you mentioned earlier, it's a continuous improvement process. I mean, and how do you kind of, get people to think about that?
Very valid question. So I divide this into three buckets. Okay.
Okay.
Uh, for example, you have to transform. Okay. Now let's look at the pedigree of the degree of the scale of the transformation we're talking
Mm.
about, right? Because everything comes with a cost.
Correct.
Everything comes with a change. Everything
Right.
comes with a mindset. A lot of things, macroeconomic conditions. Free cash flow, bunch of things, right? It's not easy. So I tell people there is the first step of transformation is to transition,
Right. Okay.
whether it's transitioning from legacy to the new, your
Mm.
old processes to the new, your mindset to the growth mindset,
Right.
right? Transition yourself, prepare yourself. For example, new year, a lot of people have resolution, right? A lot of people must be hitting gym and things like that, right? But
Mm.
first, it all starts with your mind. So first,
Correct.
prepare yourself that, hey, look, I'm going to get into this. Then I tell people, let's focus on what we call a small transformation, small T,
Mm. Mm.
not the big T, the small T. Hey,
Okay.
look, I'm going to streamline my ops. I'm going
Okay.
to, enhance my customer experience, probably, building a chatbot and getting IVR and things like that. Often, big T's are the small T's are the prelude to the big T's in the
To the big
sense,
T's. Right.
yeah. So, and then to your point, it's like learning. Transformation is like learning. Do you
Mm.
stop learning?
No.
Yes. You become Blackberries and the
You-
Kodaks of the world,
Correct. That's right.
right? So similar in the case whether you're talking about digital, ERP, whatnot. If you stop, if you put a pause,
Mm.
then you're not going to thrive and strive in this market which is so cutthroat. There's so much. Who would have thought 10 years back that we don't need digital cameras at all. Our iPhones and the phones are going to be so amazing that it's just taken one industry completely out, correct? so
Completely out. Absolutely.
so
Yes.
so there are two options which industries have: either to sit down and glory about their legacies, that we were the first ones to build digital camera, we're the first one to talk about mobile or internet explorer,
Mm.
or you could be, hey, look, We are the first one to drive this change. We are the first one to embrace AI. We are the first ones to, talk about this. We are first one to implement this, correct? So the decision
Fantastic.
is theirs, right? So to your point, transition, small transformation, big transformation, and it is a continuous process. It's like
Mm,
learning, you unlearn, you relearn, and learn again, right? So that process has to follow. It's a
so
very
well
similar
said.
pattern, and I tell most of my industry friends, even CEOs and CIOs, that
Hmm,
hey, look, it's don't think that I'm going to do a massive $100 million program to change life upside down. Yeah,
correct.
life will definitely change upside down because of $100 million. Either ways,
Either ways,
good or
yes,
bad.
for good or for bad.
Yeah, but the fact is, it can't stop here. It has to be for example, am I the best version of me? Absolutely not. I'm thriving and striving hard to continuously improve myself, right? Learning from
Absolutely.
new people, learning from others, right? That learning journey has to start. And, you have to continuously go through. So similar to your point, right? It has to be continuous. It can't be once in a while. Yeah,
Hmm,
big ones will happen once in a while.
sure.
For example, how do you modernize a house? Once in a while.
Yes.
But you continuously start, you clean your house,
You
correct? You
clean your
keep it
house.
nice,
Yes.
right? You change
Yes.
you do your laundries and things like that, right? There's a continuous small things you have to do. It's just like similar to our life. And when you don't
Absolutely.
do it, you're just sitting like a lame duck. I mean,
Hmm.
choices are yours, right? I
Choice
mean,
is ours. Absolutely. No, I love what you said, that starting on a transformation begins with a mindset shift, right? I mean, until the mindset doesn't shift, I don't think you can accomplish anything. No, well said, Pankaj. Thank you. So kind of delving a little bit deeper into the whole transformation topic, in your experience, what are some of the dependencies that you have seen on a transformation? So I know you pointed out quite a few. You talked about continuous learning, you talked about the small T's going into the big T's. But what are the other dependencies that you are seeing that organizations have as they start looking at these transformations?
uh, okay. So I'll go back to classical days of SAPs, 2006 and
Okay.
Shai Agashi's days and things like that, right?
Shayagazi's days. Yes, I remember those days.
I still remember that human anatomy of nervous system and things like that, right? But
Correct.
the people who have not seen it, I think transformation starts or the change starts from here, from
Hmm.
the self. For example, you may have as chief digital officer and things like that. They have a charter, right?
Sure.
But it needs to, I would say there are fundamental things which is needed for you to be successful. And when I say successful, accomplishing what you want to do,
Hmm.
and there are multiple interrelated elements for sort of, right? For example, there are critical factors, there are systems, there are processes, there are people, there are technology, right? People, process, technology, we used to
Right.
remember, right? They need to align. First of
Hmm.
all, you have to align all of these. And the beauty is, it's like symphony,
Hmm.
it has to function cohesively, so that the melody sings. For example, my favorite topic is, these days AI, and people say,
Hmm.
I want to implement AI to, find, my dunning and, do automated dispute and blah, 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 blah. And, they will go and do it. And they say, oh, it's not working the way I envisioned to work. And my answer is, yes, my friend, it's not going to work. It will never work because
Hmm.
you have fundamentally ignored the processes, the data, the security, the governance, the infrastructure aspect of it, and hence it's not going to fall, right? It's going to fall flat. So
Right.
similarly, in terms of transformation, you need everything to work cohesively in a great
Mm.
manner so that you can see the machine well working, right? And the beauty is identifying and managing these dependencies per se to your topic, right? That so that once you identify and manage it, you
Mm.
can execute and maximize the impact of the transformation. Okay,
True.
everybody does S4, everybody does AI. Think of this: everybody goes to the gym, but
Yes.
there are people who have different body structures and things like that, right? So it's about finding what works for you
What works
and
for
then
you?
tailoring it. One more analogy I'll give you, Sana,
Hmm.
right? And I want to ask you this: that you have three Michelin star chefs, okay?
Hmm.
Each have got same ingredients, and they're supposed to make noodles. Who's going to make the best noodles?
I think it depends on the taste of your own palate. I think they'll do their best. What they are going to do as Michelin stars, right? They'll do the best. But it just depends on your own palate, what you are willing, what you like.
Fair enough. And that will only depend. What differentiates between a good and a better and the best is the art
Mm.
of execution.
Yes.
So if I know what suits your palates, I'm going to build the way
You're
you
going to
like
build
it,
it the way.
right?
Exactly
So
right.
what I'm
Yep.
trying to tell you is that you S4 HANA is an S4 HANA. SAP
Correct.
S4 HANA is an S4 HANA, just like noodles, right?
Right.
Then there are people like Pankaj's and the Sanas of the world who are great consultants, right? Who are going to come and do this. But if you don't know what you want them to prepare, if you don't tell them what's your palette,
Right.
they are going to give you cookie cutter.
Correct.
So
Yep.
don't blame the vendors, the consultants, the products for the misery of your transformation. You're
Mm.
responsible and accountable. So very first thing which I tell
Well
people
said.
is it starts with leadership and vision.
Mm.
You need to have a vision which is mind-boggling. It's like I'm going to send a rocket to the Mars and bring it back in one piece. Where people who went and stepped first time in the moon, Armstrong said he's rubbish, he's foolish.
Yeah.
But look, the man made it happen. Correct?
Exactly.
That's
Yep.
the vision I'm talking about, right? So, without a committed leader,
Mm.
transformation is going to lose directions, funding, momentum, charm, what may not, right?
Got it.
And it is very important that you have a leader who stands for the cause and he's not looking at technology. He's looking at, hey, look, my end goal is to reduce my, inventory, stack inventory by 20%. That's the business outcome I'm chasing, right? Second,
Understood. Mm.
look, at the end of the day, if I have to build a monument, I need my people to stand by it, right? So you
True.
have to go and stand in front of your team members and say, this is it. Start communicating, right? Employee engagement is super important. Change is super important, right? Because employees at the end of the day play a huge part in building, executing, adopting, and implementing the change, right?
Correct. Correct.
And you want to take out the resistance from the staff or the lack of alignment, because that is derailment, that is friction. Okay, it's not that everybody's going to get aligned. It's like ducks, no, you have to
Yes.
align each one of them, right? Then you have to focus on what I call as technology infrastructure,
Mm.
because nothing scales, because it's a factor of scaling. Okay, so you want to rely on modern, which is scalable, secure, right? Don't worry about legacy and things like that, right? Look at data. Huge important aspect. Is the
Huge
data
aspect.
accessible? Is
Yep.
it
Yep.
quality? A lot of people say, "Oh, I spent $50 million implementing a Power BI or whatnot, and I'm not getting the value." Obviously, garbage in, garbage out. Correct. So focus on data, how accurate it is, how accessible it is, how integrated is it, and that's why small T's.
Small
These are the
T's.
things, small T's. Fix it before you take the jump of the leap of the faith, right? It's like running a marathon. No, you straight away don't get up one day and say, "I'm going to run 26 miles."
Correct.
You have to go and practice, and the way you practice is you do 2, 4, 6, 8, 13,
Yep.
18, 26, and then you keep on doing 26. Similar is the case with any transformation you do. Then people often ignore what I call it as customer business centric processes.
Mm.
Your business is your business,
Correct.
but it's at the end of the serving a customer.
Mm.
So you need to align your business models which are very customer centric, because a
Interesting.
happy customer is a happy business, right? So you have to transform in such a manner that, to your point, needs to align to the palette, so which
Mm.
is customer expectations, and give you an experience of a Michelin star, right? So
Fantastic.
a roadside noodles and a five, 7 star has a different experience altogether, right? It's all about
Correct.
experiences we pay for, right?
Correct.
Um,
Exactly.
and when you neglect your customers, you often waste your resources, you
Mm.
increase dissatisfaction, chaos will happen, correct? Then you have to look at regulatory and compliances, because the world which we live in, there are a lot of
Mm.
industries which require you to do that. So you have to focus on that. Then there's a huge important part, which is money,
Money. Mm.
financial resources, right? Do you have adequate funding to invest in new tech, training? Super important. People don't ignore training, right? I mean, and have you sufficient saying, I'm going to sponsor small T's, and small T's can be sponsored through the continuous improvement. Okay, you can actually implement something and save the cost from your opex and put it as a capex, correct?
Correct.
So so look at from a funding perspective, develop a detailed business case. And this is where I wanted to change. If I go back to consulting days, that we write business cases at the start of the program, right?
Mm.
Or how often, so now you've been in industry for long, how
Yes.
often CIOs and CEOs are judged after 3 years of transformation, what happened to that business case?
Oh,
None.
never.
So
Yep.
that is a yardstick where leader needs to stand up saying, I committed to 15% reduction in this thing
Yep.
when the program goes live. within 6 months, I am going to ensure, else our bonuses, salary, XYZ is at stake.
Yeah.
That is the kind of commitment you're looking from people. And put your vendors also responsible for it. Put your
Sure.
partners also responsible. Take that risk. Sign up for the business outcome, right? Then I think huge important partner and vendor alignment, because
Hmm.
it's a battle. You're not going to win alone.
Correct.
Partnership is not zero sum game. It's actually one on one equal to 11, where you create
Correct.
value for each other so good that you expand the pie, right? It's not about a 6 inches pizza. It's about how you make it a 12 inches pizza, right?
Absolutely.
Uh, and misaligned and unreliable partners are not going to help you in any case, right? So when somebody comes to me saying, there's X amount of dollars, and I say, I'm not worried about X amount of dollars, what it's going to cost me.
Hmm.
Will you deliver to what I'm asking you for? And if that requires X plus 5, take X plus 5 now. I am not going to count nickels and dimes, because, that outcome is super important for me. Obviously, money is
Absolutely.
also important, but, you don't negotiate and, don't hard press on it. Then, culture readiness. You need to start the change. A lot of people say transformation. So it has to be adaptive, innovation led. You have to embrace change, and change starts from within. You have to start, you know, people say, "Oh, we're starting March 2025, Pankaj, our S4 transformation, and we're looking for a program manager and program director, a transformation manager." I said, "You're starting in next 2 months, and you're looking now. You're already too late."
Too late. Wow. No, you have outlined really so many thought provoking topics, Pankaj, and I guarantee you, anyone who's going to be listening to this podcast is really going to be scratching their heads, going, "Damn, these two are onto something. They're making sense." No, I absolutely agree with the dependencies that you're talking about,
And the last
and
one I want to mention, because
yeah,
it's super critical.
yeah, please.
2030, 2027 was it, right?
It
2027
is
and then 2030, right?
2027. It is 2027. 2 more years.
Fingers crossed, it's going to get extended, hopefully. But the fact is, think of this: how many 25 years from R3 to ECC?
Yeah,
What, 25 years
25
now?
almost.
95, 96, 97, something
Yeah,
like that, right? 20 years, right? And how many customers? Some 65,000 customers, 45,000 customers.
possibly more. Possibly
Yeah,
more.
and almost 70, 60% of them still on ECC.
Still on ECC.
So my question to all the CIOs and the CEOs of the world is, my dear friends, you're great people, amazing set of individuals. It took so many people, so many billions of dollars for 20 years to implement 45,000 instances of ECC.
Right.
Now in 2 years, are you going to change to S4? There is one strong dependencies, which is
Mm.
time and resource.
Yep.
You can't go to the big boys of the world, of the Accentures and the IBMs and the rest of the consultants, who come and say, I'm going to give you money. No, I'm busy already, right?
I'm
I don't
already
have. It's a
busy.
people
Yep.
function. Unfortunately, in our world, AI can't implement SAP right now.
Hmm.
AI can't implement Oracle, right? It
Correct.
will eventually in certain portions and things like
Yes.
that. But there's a huge time and resource constraint, and people are ignoring that. Okay.
Yes.
And there will be burnout for consultants. Like, I had severe, I almost did almost 30, 40 S4 in 4 or 5 years
Mm,
continuously, right?
mm.
I was back and forth between one customer to another customer talking the same language. And I was like, "Ugh," right? So, and it's go and so you have to think from that perspective also. You have to be a little selfish. So if you plan to go by 2027, right? If your journey is at 2028, 29, start prepping 12, 18 months before.
Correct.
It's like,
Correct.
sorry for that analogy, right? When you plan for a baby, you don't plan instantly, right? I mean,
Yes. You
your
think
body
about
needs to
that.
go through route changes, right? I mean, you have to ensure
Exactly.
that you're
Exactly.
mentally ready, you're physically ready, you're emotionally ready, right?
Correct.
Similar is the case with any transformation.
Mm. Absolutely. No, very, very well said. And you definitely outlined a bunch of dependencies, which exactly leads to my next, thought process, which is complexity. And I think you definitely talked a lot about the dependencies. But if we pick a few of the dependencies, right, in my mind, I think the complexities come from the people aspect, Pankaj. So technology obviously is one thing, but I would love for you to talk a little bit about complexities, because dependencies is what your entire outcome is dependent on, right? We talk about the people, the process, the technology. Complexities is mindset shifts, right? Complexities is training. What else do you think is going to actually be a part of the complexity, as the CIOs, CXOs are looking to make the transformation?
I think changing customer expectations would be one of them.
Mm,
Because today's customers have been, all of us, right? We're very demanding, right? I mean,
very
even
demanding. Yes.
internet breaks, hey, let's call KT&T Comcast, right? Let's
Exactly.
get a piece of mind, right? I mean, in the sense. And we need personalized content. We need it to be seamless. We need it to be
Mm,
real time, right?
mm.
The patience index of people have just gone down, correct?
Yes.
There's a huge amount of changing customer expectations, right? So that is something one. Second, I think complexity comes from increased competition as well,
Mm,
right? I mean, there are startups, there are digital first companies who are just disrupting the way the market functions, right? I
true.
mean, look at the
True.
small companies, and transformation will come from the smaller people itself because they're
Yes.
very nimble and
100%.
smart. Not
Yes.
that bigger companies can't, but it takes a while for a large ship to pivot or a dinosaur to pivot, right?
Correct.
So that, and I'm not discounting the large companies can't, but
No,
it's a
no, I
long and
think
haul
it has
thing.
become very monolithic. That's what you're trying to say, that they're a little bit, they're bigger to make that pivot. It takes time.
Correct. And then complexity coming from data,
Mm,
right? Because data, as we live in, right? I mean, data is getting every now and then. We're speaking. There's a bunch of data which is getting generated through these audio files and things like that itself,
absolutely.
right? So
Absolutely.
then you have to look for disruptions. Disruption from
Mm,
people, pandemic, whatnot, supply chain, whatnot, right? So this adds to the complexity. Then there's a new dimension which has come, which is sustainability and social responsibility.
mm.
You have to be conscious about what you're doing, correct? I mean,
Got it.
you have to stand up to the mission and the vision and the values of the people and ethos of the people, correct? Or the society and the community.
Absolutely.
Last but not least, your workforce expectations, right? They need to be flexible. They need to be upskilled. They need to have cutting edge tools to be successful, right? So you have to ensure that how do you train? For example, today you have four generations of people working in your workforce.
Yes.
How do you keep a millennial happy and a Gen Z happy and things like that, right? Yet keep a guy who's seen the green screen of mainframes, right? Who's still used to,
Correct.
writing in a piece of paper and getting the work done, right? So you have to manage those things. And I think that the thinner line is how do I ensure that if I'm
Mm.
implementing today, it's going to serve me next 20 years?
At
So
least for the next 20 years. Yep. Yep.
how do I keep my vision, which is preparing for tomorrow's opportunity?
Mm. And things will
Right?
just get more complex, right, from
It
here on.
will,
Like
it
with
will, it
AI,
will.
they'll just get
Technology is
more
there to add more complexities to our life. Believe it or
correct.
not.
Yep. I agree.
Right. So I think it is about individuals to understand, am I leading, am I positioned to lead rather than play a catch up game? Okay. So
Mm.
that is that is the complexity.
Interesting.
And also understand the cost of inaction. What am I losing?
What are you losing? Got it.
And
Yep.
people
Yep.
don't think. They're saying, hey, 2025, 27, hey, chal it's running, right? It's
It's
running.
running. Yeah. Yeah.
It's running. It's healthy, right? I'm able to transact. My P&L is coming. My balance sheet is coming. My books are getting closed. I'm finding 10K, whatever it is, right? So why stay the same? Let's stay the same, right? Finance, the worst of the community, right? If it isn't broken, it's working,
Don't fix it.
right? But my dear friend, you're looking at irrelevance. You're looking at losing market share. You're looking to struggle to attract customers and investors, right? And in a world where we stand, where tomorrow I don't know what's going to happen, the disruption, standing still is going to make you move backward.
Make you move back. Wow, that's a very very good point. Wow. Well, amazing, amazing, Pankaj. I just truly enjoyed your your content, your thought process. Absolutely phenomenal. I have about the last 5 minutes in the podcast, and I definitely would love to hear your perspective on what advice would you give, all these clients, all our CIOs, CXOs, CFOs who are actually waiting to do this, right? But just don't know when. How am I going to pull the trigger? What am I going to do? So I would love for you to give us some advice, please.
Some advice? Okay. I started as a consultant, so no advice comes from a fee, right? I mean, because if it's free, and this is what I used to tell in my MBA days, right? If it's free, people don't tend to value.
They don't value it, correct? But now you know what? 2 decades in, your word definitely has more authority. So
No,
you
no,
can
no,
you can
absolutely.
surely
No, no,
say
no,
it.
absolutely. The very first thing, I'm going to get a little selfish. So I think they should start reading my book. I don't know whether you can see it or not. I mean,
No, I
it's
can't see it. Bring it a little closer, please.
okay.
Yes, I see it now. Absolutely. Oh,
This
fantastic.
talks about very aptly to the topic which you spoke about, which is AI and ERP, and it talks about all of them.
Love it.
And I'll tell you one analogy, okay, which is going to you will
Sure.
remember. A lot of people talk about I'm going to do S4 and I'm going to implement AI and things like
Hmm.
that, right? The pudding part of it. But I often ask, okay, fine, in the world of refrigeration, right? Who makes the maximum amount of money?
Okay.
It's a question for you. Who makes the
Oh, it's a
maximum amount
question
of
for
money?
me. In the world of refrigeration, who makes the maximum amount of money? I have no idea. I don't know.
Samsung, Whirlpool,
Oh, you mean the
LG.
companies? Okay.
Yeah.
Possibly all of them. I have no idea.
But if you just have to do a little Google and things like that, you'll find that the amount of money which they make is nothing. There is one company
Okay.
which makes $65 billion every year
Oh, wow.
by building their products around refrigeration, which is Coca-Cola,
That's correct. Wow. Yes. Interesting. Yeah.
right? And I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure 65 billion worth of refrigerations are not made.
They're not made. I completely agree. Yes.
Correct? And
Yes.
it's a recurring revenue, right? So what
Yes.
I'm saying to in this world where we stand in, there will be the Microsofts, the Metas, and the Amazons and the Googles of the world who are going to make great LLMs because we have great people like us who are going to be same minds. It's like chefs. Three
Yes.
noodles, they are going to make great noodles, right?
Correct.
So the power is not making the great noodles about how do I take that invention and create a net new business model,
Out of
which
that.
Coca-Cola successfully did. They
Mm.
took refrigeration and they created streamlines of products which is around refrigerations, right? So in this world, to your point, my advice to the CIs and CEOs, don't look at SAP S4HANA, don't look at AI. Look at what you can do to
Okay.
harmonize them together to
Mm.
build something which is so incredible that it powers the next generation of things within your enterprise and organization. Okay, so that's my number one advice. Number two, don't sit idle. Idle is going backward. uh,
Mm.
Define your vision, communicate, hyper communicate, champion the culture change, balance the vision. It's all I've written in the book, right? What they need to do.
Right.
Balance your vision with what it says. You have to be pragmatic. You have to have ambitious goals. But you need to be practical. It needs to have actionable steps. Roll up your sleeve. I mean,
Mm.
the challenge which I see, and please correct me. Um, how many Fortune 500 companies or Fortune 2000, let's like G 2000
Yeah.
companies have a CIO or a CEO who's less than 40?
Very
How many
few.
of your system integrator worlds have a business leader who's less than 40?
Oh, yeah. Very few.
So what I'm saying is, who disrupts?
The
Who
younger
has
generation,
no
the
baggage?
younger minds. Yep. The younger minds.
Yes. So please embrace that, right? Prioritize your customers, prioritize your employees, build a strong leadership coalition, right? Bring
Mm.
in the new world, invest in your people, make data a strategic asset, right? Make your business processes, again to the point, hire to retire as a business process, okay?
Correct.
Tell me the product which you can implement using hire to retire.
Success factors?
Success factors. But let's be honest. Does all the processes of hire to retire run in success factors in an
Oh, no.
enterprise?
Absolutely not. No.
Absolutely
No.
not. So when people talk about, hey, look, we are going to implement business AI on SAP, good luck.
Mm. Good
Yes,
luck.
but only to the portion.
Right.
Only to the portion. The value comes when you look at end-to-end business processes. So
Mm.
when you're even implementing AI for that matter, you should be implementing on a process level, not at a system level.
Not at a system level. Understood.
So a lot of people say, I'm an SAP consultant, I'm going to use business AI on a success factor. Good luck. Business is not
Good
going to get
luck.
value out of it.
Right.
So similarly, the way your processes are in a hub and a spoke model, where
Yes.
SAP happens to be the hub, like it, a lot of people use it as
True.
garbage dump yard, right? And
Yep.
then you have peripheral systems. Similarly, you have to look at a process level. So when you implement AI
Mm.
in SAP, you have to implement AI in peripheral also.
Correct.
Then only you're going to get value out of it, right? So embrace, when I say this, embrace the technology thoughtfully and mindfully. Okay, just don't run
Interesting.
saying I want to implement AI because everybody's doing it.
And but starting, read your book first. I think that is a good starting point to get the main
Yes, no, but
message.
I think there are many books on mindset and change. They should read that as well. And last but not least,
Mm.
monitor, measure, adapt, mitigate. All of these are super super important, right? Last but not least, focus on the long term value creation.
Mm.
Play the long haul.
Play
Play
the
the
long
long
game.
game.
Yep. It's not the short game. Play the long
It's not the
game.
short
That's
game.
for sure.
Short game will get you glory, may get you from CIO to CDO to CFO to CEO.
Right.
But do you want to be known for the lasting legacy you have left?
Mm.
Absolutely, yes. Right. So pay the long haul, right? So
Correct.
this is my take to people as CXOs. You are the architect of transformation, nobody else.
Nobody else.
Your role is to inspire, align effort across, instill
Mm.
confidence, guide the journey with a very strategic and adaptable mindset, right? And you have to focus on people, process, technology equally. You just can't be biased towards one of them, right? But at the same time, maintain the relentless focus of execution, delivering value, so that you take your enterprise to thrive in a in a world which is going to be very chaotic as we move forward. Okay, so
True.
I think
Very
that's my
true.
one liner advice to them. Please continue to lead with purpose and with passion. Okay.
Love it, love it, love it. Pankaj, thank you so very much for taking the time to give us your amazing insights. I guarantee you, everyone who's going to be listening in is truly going to be a fan, just like how I am. I love chatting with you, you know that. So
Thank you.
thank you. Cheers and have a lovely 2025.
Oh, absolutely. We are going to nail 2025.
100%.